Welcome back to No Plot, Only Lore, this week brought to you by Clue, the movie, the board game.
I've never actually played Clue, the movie, the board game.
Yeah,
Is it different from Clue, the board game, or different from Clue, the movie?
It is, in fact, exactly like Clue, the board game, but with characters from the movie. I only thought of it because while talking about adaptations for this episode, I remember that they made a Clue-themed Murders at Karlov Manor box set for Magic the Gathering. With, Colonel Mustard and people like this.
Okay, I was gonna give it a minute before we started getting into the Magic the Gathering stuff. I wanted to talk about other adaptation stuff before we started getting into just how much I hate Universes Beyond. But god damn, do I hate Universes Beyond.
I also hate Universes Beyond, maybe for different reasons, but I also don't consider Universes Beyond adaptations in the way that we're talking about adaptations today, like tabletop adaptations of other pieces of fiction or TV or whatever.
You would just consider it like a crossover, or
I consider all Universes Beyond to essentially be just like fan art, because they make almost no effort to incorporate actual other than just the art, actual things that gameplay wise feel tied to the other universe. I think the only exception so far has been the Avatar set, which to use the different types of bending in an interesting way. Not they weren't good, but it was just kind of interesting. Earth bending made your lands actually creatures and weapons for you, and airbending let things sort of flip back and forth. Firebending just gave you a bunch of red mana that you could use in combat, which I guess kind of makes sense. And then waterbending was just, hey, what if you paid using other people or mana to get an effect? Which was I think the waterbending was probably the worst adaptation, but yeah.
So I haven't been in Magic for a minute.
Yeah.
And my introduction to Universes Beyond was walking into a game store looking for D&D stuff, and my son showing me the Fourth Doctor was a Magic card.
Yeah. And what's awful is that was probably one of the best times for Universes Beyond in Magic. And I'll tell you why. It's because it was self-contained.
Sure. But also deeply, deeply unnecessary.
Oh, for sure.
There has never been a time in my Magic playing career where I have thought, you know what would make this great? If I was playing the Ronnie right now, right?
Yeah.
If we were making some deep cuts into Doctor Who lore from the 1960s, that'd be fantastic. I would love that. Yes, please, thank you. No, never. Not even once.
Yeah.
The Lord of the Rings, to me, made sense. Right?
Yeah.
If you're going to do a crossover with another property, Magic is already a fantasy thing. It's already got fantasy flavor on it. Throw some hobbits in there. You've already got dwarves, right? It fits for the most part.
Well, unfortunately, it was the success of that fit that made them want to push the envelope further. It was, up until Final Fantasy, their biggest selling set of all time. And Final Fantasy is another one that, just by virtue of the different sort of flavors that it has, fit into Magic the Gathering pretty well. But
I think that if you told me that Final Fantasy... if I didn't know anything about Final Fantasy and I was first presented Magic the Gathering cards about Final Fantasy, I would assume that was a Magic the Gathering setting.
Yeah, it just looks like another plane.
They just decided... Yeah, they did the anime plane this time.
Yeah.
Right? That wouldn't be all that out of left field. You've got the magic and the combination with technology, the Magic Tech world that they've built for Magic. Yeah, it absolutely fits. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles can suck an entire bag of dicks.
In fact, the entire city of New York does not fit into Magic the Gathering, whether it's turtle
No.
flavored or spider flavored or this upcoming Marvel flavored one. It's a jarring juxtaposition between, your magical planes, even some of the recent weirdness like Aether Drift or what they did with like Edge of Eternities or some of the stuff in like Thunder Junction. Those at least tied in relatively well when the art team found a way to like execute it, but like, yeah, going from playing, Jace the Mind Sculptor to Bagel with Schmear, like it's just it's disgusting. Like and never mind the poorly made sets like Spider-Man that just got rushed out there because they, just dumped a bunch of cards. I initially I did not have a problem with the concept of Universes Beyond. The one that really sold me was the 40K decks, not just because I love 40K, but I think I genuinely think Magic the Gathering is an incredibly well-designed skeleton that you can kind of put any sort of flavoring onto, which I think was the original impetus for it. But I still think that those different properties and those different like fandoms need to be contained. 40K was 4 decks, they played well with each other, and they were not part of the regular ecosystem. Fallout was more or less the same thing. 4 decks. They did some collector boosters for it just because people were clamoring for more stuff, but it was self-contained. Doctor Who, as stupid as it was self-contained. And it's when they started leaking things over that into like full releases like Lord of the Rings that things started to get a little sketchy. And then when it was like, hey, by the way, this is now just part of the full standard Magic the Gathering release schedule and legality. Like, it was tough enough when it was like, oh, this is going to be a full set that's taking up a release slot, but you don't have to play it in standard. That's fine. Now it's like, you got to keep up. And this year with 7 releases, 4 of which are Universes Beyond, it's even more ridiculous.
And who is clamoring for a SpongeBob card? Right? Like, what audience demographic are they looking at that desperately wants SpongeBob to fight Raphael?
Well, and it's the same crew that wanted to get all the Hatsune Miku cards. And honestly, I don't have a problem with that kind of stuff being contained in a secret lair. It's limited availability. It's timed. It was like print to order essentially. I think they've poorly handled secret lair from the what I've been seeing in the last little while. But like, at least it wasn't like mandatory. It was just like, hey, this is like getting alt art proxies or something. Like, you can buy it if you want. It's really another thing, but if you for some reason need to collect the My Little Pony set, like, you can. But forcing it through the main,
there's a My Little Pony.
Yeah, of course there is. Forcing it through the main release schedule is pretty egregious. But I think we're getting a little off track because we wanted to focus on like adapting these properties and just wedging them into another one. Like, that this is the same realm as like, hey, there's 8,000 versions of Monopoly. This is just, Jurassic Parkopoly or Edmontonopoly or like,
it does feel very much in that vein of like, you bought a Pop-O-Matic Trouble that just happens to have your city's name on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And like, they haven't actually done anything to change the game itself to suit that adaptation. So we've talked about adaptation before, but usually in like the 2 episodes that we've done about adaptation previously were in the other direction.
Yeah.
Right. Like taking Dungeons and Dragons and adapting it to other media. And so this week we wanted to pull back and look at like adapting other media to the world of tabletop specifically.
Yeah.
So what do you think is like the core of a good adaptation for specifically a board game?
So I think when it comes to adaptations from other media, I consider it good and successful when it's super thematic and draws you into the world that it's purported to be set in and gives you agency in I don't want to say like reenacting the thing that you're trying to adapt, but like definitely letting you feel like you're participating in that world in a meaningful way that's not like welded onto another existing mechanism. That, like, we'll have some examples later that I think took mechanisms that existed in other places and used them to represent what, you know, the movie or whatever was trying to express.
There's a concept that I've looked at a little bit in storytelling games in particular, that is the sandbox of consequences. Right. So whenever we're looking at like the way that a story can play out, there are only a certain number of ways that any particular plot point can resolve. Right. And this is one of the reasons that I've never had a problem with spoilers. Right. Like if people spoil a thing for me, like a movie or a TV show, book, whatever, I don't care. I'm actually thrilled. I will read the Wikipedia article while I'm watching a show, so that I'm staying ahead of the plot, so I can focus on like how they did it instead. So like the number of ways that any particular plot point or idea can resolve is relatively limited. And in a game, having the ability to choose a different one than the creators did is huge, right? Like that provides you that agency, that provides you that ability to like insert yourself and your decision making into that world.
Yeah. Yeah, there's an example I'm thinking of that's probably like one of the best received adaptations in tabletop gaming. It's the Battlestar Galactica, the board game. Yeah. The combination of hidden traitor mechanisms so that you don't know who the Cylons are, and then using like the political maneuvering from the show as well as like the missions and stuff like that. Like, yeah, it's hugely... every scenario that you can think of from the TV show, you could sort of twist, you know.
I think the best decision that they made for that board game was that you were not beholden to the show's choice for who the Cylons were.
Right.
Anybody could be a Cylon.
Yes.
Right. So you didn't come into it with like a priori knowledge of how this was going to resolve, because like Captain Adama could absolutely be a Cylon.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that kept the tension there as well. Right. And
Yeah.
I think another like really interesting thing about that is that board game came out before the series was done.
Yeah.
So we still didn't know who all the Cylons were.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there's a reason that one stayed. Like I'm shocked they haven't tried to do a reprint of it, because it would get absolutely gobbled up even now. It's so well done. And I think there's a world where you can do it where like the eventual show Cylons are the same. But it's just a very different type of game that I don't know if that adaptation actually feels like, you know, living in the Battlestar Galactica world. That tension is really well transferred.
It was transferred so well that I am personally of the opinion. Now, I don't have any like sources for this, but I have a very strong suspicion that it is the reason that Among Us exists.
Actually, yeah, that tracks. Yeah, I think Among Us is just replaying that.
It's the same format of game, right? Like you
Yeah.
have a couple of traitors in your midst, and you have to go about doing tasks, and sometimes those tasks will be interrupted by somebody who means you a badness.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you could make the same argument about a game like The Resistance or you know, Avalon, stuff like that. But yeah, the same idea.
Any hidden traitor game, but like it was in very much like the paragon of that type of game for a while.
Yeah.
I think Among Us has probably dethroned it at this point, just from like a cultural perspective, but I still think Battlestar Galactica was stronger.
Yeah, I mean, that being said, I don't think there's a ton of overlap between like the crowd that plays Among Us and the crowd that plays Battlestar Galactica.
I'm trying to imagine my 13-year-old son playing a board game based on a TV show that finished before he was born.
Yeah, exactly.
I also think mechanical agency, like the what if factor is a big part of it. The tactile immersion is another. Like the game itself has to be good, right? Like the play of the game has to be good. And when you're like looking at transitioning a game from being another property into being a game, there has to be some stakes involved in that for the game itself.
Sure.
To make the lore feel like it is a heavier presence in the thing, right? So like you again, if you just have like Lord of the Rings Pop-O-Matic Trouble, it doesn't matter how often you bop that little bubble in the middle of the thing, it's not going to feel like Lord of the Rings.
No.
Right? If you're suddenly given like heavy coins and there's decisions that you have to make about like the placement of your people and like how you're going to split up your resources to be able to achieve multiple different aims, then suddenly it starts to look more like Lord of the Rings.
Right.
One of the better adaptations in the role-playing game world for me was the Wizards of the Coast Wheel of Time game.
Okay.
Where they adapted the 3.5 D&D rules to Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time world.
Okay.
And there were mechanics, especially around the like weaving of the one power, that provided additional context and weight to the weavings and to the power itself and the way that the power was used, that provided more context for me reading the books. Right, like when I went back to the books, I was suddenly thinking about those things mechanically and like how I would represent those in a role-playing game. Because that white space, the information that hadn't been shown in the originating material, was filled in.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes total sense. I mean, I haven't played a lot of like RPG adaptations of stuff, but I could absolutely get behind, like, because what are they calling it now? Dark Imperium. There's 40K RPG stuff that
3 really, really solid games.
Yeah, that is all about like, hey, you've been focused on the heroes for so long. What about like everybody else in this universe? How are they surviving? How are they getting by? Even the Warhammer Fantasy role-playing game did an okay job of that. A little less so because it was a little too just like generic high fantasy stuff, but the 40K game in particular has been really great for. I don't know if our audience has ever heard of like the All Guardsmen Party, but it's a
I haven't.
Okay, so there was a guy who was in a I forget exactly which of the games they were playing, but the idea that they were running with was that everyone in the party was a member of the Imperial Guard, just some random trooper. And so this guy took their play sessions and their campaigns and stuff and wrote a narrative for it and published it online and wrote it in a really cool way. But like seeing how that DM took generic dude troopers, which should be more or less identical, and then found ways to make them like unique and memorable and give them jobs and missions that, you know, and then allowed it to touch on some of those more heroic things. Like for them, when a Chaos Space Marine showed up, it was like, oh shit, this is like an extinction level event for us, you know? I appreciate
that's one of the hard
that.
things about. Yeah, I think that's one of the hardest things about doing role-playing games in established properties.
Yeah.
Is just like you're not the heroes, right?
Right.
Like, you know what the heroes are doing because you read that book.
Yeah.
Right. Like in the Wheel of Time role-playing game, I am not Randall Thor. I am not Matt Cawthon or Perrin Ibarra. I am random dude from the Two Rivers number 253.
Yeah.
And I have a bow staff and 6 gold in my pocket, and I'm going on an adventure.
Yeah.
And that adventure may touch on the things that are actually like moving and shaking in the world. And occasionally, I think if you're going to be doing a tie-in game like that, you kind of have to.
Yeah.
But you run into that problem of like, we're setting this game 15 years before Randall Thor is born. And you're like, great, fucking what's going on 15 years before Randall Thor is born that isn't as, like, that is as important or has as much weight to it as the end of the fucking world.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
well,
or like,
yeah, it's like, oh, we made, you know, Game of Thrones the RPG, but you don't get to be a Stark. Like you're just some guy.
Right. You're a car Stark.
Yeah.
You're, like random car Stark number 4.
Yeah.
Your house is beholden to another house. And yeah, like you're in a lot of ways it feels like your agency in those adaptation games is limited by the fact that it is an adaptation.
Yeah.
And so finding ways to elevate that. And again, that thing where like the Cylons aren't necessarily who you think they are. They're not the people that we've already revealed as Cylons. Means that you have that point of departure where you're like, fuck it, Rand al'Thor isn't actually the Dragon Reborn.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right?
that's
He's
fair.
not actually the hero.
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah.
Right? And then that gives you like a whole new thing that you can do with it in a whole different direction. But then, like, are you still adapting at that point?
Well, and that's just it. Like, there's some adaptations that don't have that strong of a narrative to them that you could interrupt it in that way, right? Like, we'll get, even in some of our examples coming up here of like really good ones.
Let's get into those. Like Jaws.
Sure. Okay.
Talk to me about the important narrative aspects of the Jaws board game.
So, Jaws, the board game, and its counterpart, Top Gun, the board game, are a really interesting example of how they can let you be just another guy or participating as a character, but still not be beholden 100% to the narrative. So we'll start with Jaws. Jaws, the board, and both these games are divided into essentially like 2 parts. So Jaws starts with...
Hold on, before you get into that, one very important question about the Jaws board game.
Sure.
Can I be the shark?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, one person is the shark the whole time. And what
Fantastic.
what they do are 2 different things. So the first half of the game is essentially the shore, the beach, where the shark is playing a hidden movement game to move around and consume swimmers while other people are trying to figure out exactly where he is.
Okay.
Eventually, if they do manage to locate him, then the second half of the game is on the boat. And the shark is tearing apart the boat while everyone else is trying to like kill him, keep the boat alive. And
I've never played this, but I love everything about this.
Yeah.
I would be hard pressed to not just be like, nom nom nom.
yeah, exactly. And that's the other great thing about this game is that like it makes you want to be the villain, and the fact that like
Right.
the game is not beholden to the idea that like eventually the shark gets blown up is perfect, because like yeah, you can win, you can absolutely eat that whole boat and everyone dies. The other side of it too, like the Top Gun game, there's 2 really important things that happen in Top Gun. And you don't have to be Tom Cruise to participate in them. There's the aerial part of the game where you are having dogfights and, trying to chase each other around in the sky and pull off shots to win your little, fake Top Gun competition. And then there's a real competition on the ground, which is the beach volleyball game. And you play as just other random pilots playing beach volleyball.
Are there mechanics for me to seduce Iceman?
Unfortunately, no. See, that's the thing. They took this Top Gun setting and were like,
right,
that wasn't one class. Like this happens all the time, right? And I think that really worked for it. It was just like, yeah, let's draw you into like the Naval Top Gun Academy world as just the other guys.
And that's such an interesting point about the iterativeness of a setting.
Yeah.
Right. Like when you're adapting, especially like a setting that is established and real world, right? Like Top Gun has classes every year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And the shark needs to eat all the time.
Yeah. I mean, at least,
you're never
like,
gonna
at
run
least
out
in
of
Jaws,
sharks.
there was only one Stephen Jaws or whatever. Like that was one shark. But yeah, there's a million Mavericks, or the guys that think they're Maverick, every year, right?
You gotta wonder, like, how much more stressful were the Top Gun instructors' jobs the year after Top Gun came out?
Where everyone showed up at the base like, that's what you do here? They're like, no, we play 0 beach volleyball, okay?
Yeah, we don't have enough time for beach volleyball. You have to do math.
Yeah, a lot. Everyone forgets that about Top Gun Academy. It's so much math.
Well, like everybody forgets that about like the big cool schools and things too, right? Like nobody thinks about the Harry Potter kids having to do English class.
Yeah, yeah.
But they would have to do English class. Like you want to have a bunch of illiterate wizards running around?
No, they got to, yeah. You got to be able to read the spells to cast the spells.
In Latin.
In Latin. All right, what else we got? That was good. You've got Slay the Spire, the board game.
Yeah. My son absolutely adores this. And
Yeah.
I think, like, one of the interesting things about this is that, like, Slay the Spire, the board game, is taking a deck building game from the internet that utilizes a lot of, like, interesting mechanics that are specific to a electronic game, and then ports those over to a tabletop version. And so it comes with some of the bells and whistles that you would see from the electronic version. Like, it's got achievements that you can gain. It's got, like, a narrative that opens up as you play multiple sessions of it. And all of the mechanics are just they're just taken from the board game.
Well, and that's okay. I hesitate to give them too much credit because it feels like they, I don't want to say cheated, but they definitely like were 90% of the way there anyways. Slay the Spire as a video game was just a deck building board game online. And then they like tweaked a couple things, and then now they're just like, oh, what if we just printed out our game? Like, it's not...
The thing that I love about it is that, like, I've seen this game unboxed. I haven't played the game myself.
Yeah.
But I have seen the game unboxed, and it is a monster.
Oh, yeah.
There is so much in that box. And it is huge. It takes up a huge amount of space. There's several different card decks.
Yeah.
Like, the amount of organization that is done by the computer in Slay the Spire cannot be overstated.
Yeah. There's an adaptation coming out. I'm not sure 100% when because it's not done yet. But adapting a 4X video game onto a board game is going to require a minimum of 1,200 cards. And I there's no way that it's going to be like fun and engaging the whole time when there's so many decks to contend with.
Didn't we already have that with Twilight Imperium? I feel like we already had that.
Yeah, and that's what this feels like. It's like Twilight Imperium, and then they made Stellaris, and then Stellaris is getting printed into a board game. It's like, you were already there, guys. Like, just full circle.
Okay, so there has to be somebody out there who saw Stellaris and was like, I want to make that into a board game. And somebody pointed out Twilight Imperium, and they were like, no. More.
Yeah, that's exactly what this feels like. Like, I know Twilight Imperium ruins your Saturday. I want this to ruin your month.
Yeah. It has ruined a couple of my Saturdays.
There you go. It's never ruined one of mine because I've remained strong and refused to play it.
I got roped into a game, and that game lasted a weekend.
I will touch briefly on Mistborn, the deck building game. I was ready to dismiss it as just another deck building game, which I like deck building games, but who cares? And then I played it, and they did a really interesting resource mechanism with like I've never read the book, so like the idea of like paired or sympathetic metals, and then the idea that like, you need to use certain metals to activate cards, and then you're typically limited on how often you can do that unless you flare a metal and like permanently remove your ability to access it. I'd say permanently. You can get it back by expending a different resource, but that felt very in world for it. And my friend who's read the books is like, yeah, this is a great, both a feeling of like how this magic system functions and your progression as a character through the story. Like, as these, I don't know what their magic users are called, but as these characters get stronger and stronger in their ability to use this system, they have access to more and more of these metals and resources and can use more of them regularly.
The books are similar, except that there are the vast majority of the characters that are able to utilize metals are only able to use one.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's also true in the deck building game. Like, are you only able to use that one metal?
When you start, you are definitely tied into like a specific metal idea, but then as you like level up throughout the game, you can start adding more into your deck.
Okay, because there's only a very small subset of people who are able to do that, and it's a little bit the problem of like genetic magic,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
you're a wizard because your parents were wizards or whatever. So like it's a mutation that you're able to do more than one and like start combining them and stuff. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it'd be interesting to
I mean,
see
in the game,
what you
you're
could do with,
playing
like,
as four, as far as I know, four super main characters. So,
oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that tracks. Yeah, so the Alien RPG, it's a dice pool system,
Okay.
and when you are rolling for things, you can add stress dice to your pool
Okay.
to help you get a better average for the roll that you're doing.
Okay.
But if you roll a 1 on a stress die, you panic.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so you have that like risk reward payoff. And I think like what's really interesting about that, especially in the context of like the alien setting, is that it's such a claustrophobic small contained space that small things become big things, right? Like if you've ever been like stuck with a small group of people for a long time, COVID,
Yep.
you know that like things start to rub you the wrong way.
Yep.
They slowly begin to escalate in weird ways. So like even if you're doing like a fairly mundane task, if you throw a stress die in there, there's a good chance that shit's gonna go sideways real fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I love because it provides the impetus for catastrophe in anything that you're rolling for. It does mean that you want to roll less often, and I think that in general, I think if I was to give anybody in role-playing games a piece of advice, it would be roll less often anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you're only rolling every once in a while, but every time you do, there's a really good chance that shit's going to hit the fan.
Well, I think that's nice because, like, I think definitely, like you said, one thing that RPGs in general can run into is this, like, first of all, rolling dice all the time just brings in like a lot of chaos and uncertainty into what's happening just by mechanically, but also like there's a certain amount of fatigue that comes in when it's just like, yeah, I just have to roll a die again. It's not a big deal. If every time you roll a die, it's like actually super consequential, because like, you know, D&D, you roll a d20 for some sort of check and, you know, you fail it, but then the DM kind of fudges the story or the number or whatever to like, it's not like we've talked about this before, you don't really fail, you just like find a different opportunity, stuff like that. In Alien, like
you roll a perception check and like then all of your friends roll it too. So it's
yeah,
just,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
20
yeah.
that's being rolled is like 7 of them.
Yeah. And then with this idea that like, yeah, like actually something really bad could happen every time you roll those dice. Like that makes it that much more engaging. And brings that
something
tension.
that was something that was great about the Mouse Guard role playing game.
Yeah.
As well, is that like failure always came with consequence, and that consequence could be one of 2 big things, and that was either you take a status that's going to like hurt your chances in later rolls,
Yeah.
or you take a plot twist that isn't going to be in your favor.
Yeah.
Right? And balancing those 2 things was very important for the Mouse Guard game. Also a great adaptation.
Sure. The One Ring.
The One Ring did a really good job of mechanically representing tiredness
Okay.
and corruption.
Okay.
Right? Like the mechanics were built specifically so that over the course of this game, you weren't like leveling up in a power fantasy type thing. Like
Yeah.
the mechanics kept you at a pretty even keel for the vast majority of the game. And then you were slowly becoming more corrupted and tired and exhausted as you moved on.
Okay.
And so it managed to find interesting ways to keep you from becoming like Gandalf the fireball throwing wizard demon from the top of the hill, and like kept you in a place where like just shining some light is all you've got.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which really fits into like the low magic world of the One Ring.
It's interesting that you mentioned the One Ring because I forgot to write down, but the War of the Ring is a 2-player war game version of like the grand events of the Lord of the Rings, where one person's playing as the forces of good, one's playing forces of Mordor, and you've got to keep the ring bearer hidden, his location hidden, because if Mordor finds him ever, it's just over. But also you've got to fight against this like overwhelming army, and you're just trying to like play this game of like survive with my guys long enough that the ring bearer makes it to Mount Doom. And they re-implemented almost the exact same mechanism in Star Wars Rebellion, where you've got to keep your secret rebel base hidden long enough that you can, that your little scrappy group of guys can go blow up the Death Star or whatever. But I think War of the Ring did it first and has done it the best so far.
There was also a really great 2-player cooperative card game for Lord of the Rings where you were slowly going on little adventures, and the way that it was a deck building
Okay.
game. And the way that it was designed made it so that you were always running out of resources before your enemies were, right? Like they were constantly replenishing and you were running out. And it made the like overwhelming odds of getting the game done feel much more tense, right? Because like it was very balanced. Like it was absolutely possible to win. We did win several times, but it was never a sure thing, and it kept pushing it to the point where like the game was stressful. It stressed me out.
Sure.
Now, we do have a bunch of bad examples, and I'm thinking maybe we should hold off on those for a part 2.
Sure.
Talking about bad adaptations specifically.
I'm
What
fine
makes
with
a bad
that. Do we want to break off into part 2 for the bad, and do we want to do the hype list with it, or should we talk about briefly stuff that's coming out that we're excited about?
Let's talk about the hype list briefly. Just
Okay.
the stuff that's coming out that we're excited about. So the big one for me is the Cosmere RPG is a recent
Okay.
release. We have a buddy who's been working on it, and it looks incredible. The art is fantastic, and the plot dice mechanic is something that people have been talking about quite a bit, with like the plot being able to be mechanically represented. And like, having read a rather large amount of Brandon Sanderson's work, I know that his plots are mechanical enough that you could absolutely make them into a game mechanic. And like, I don't say that disparagingly. I really appreciate the way that Sanderson puts his plots together in a very clearly designed way.
Yeah.
So really looking forward to picking that one up. I have not had a chance to play it yet.
For myself, coming out later this year is the StarCraft miniatures game.
Okay.
The video game inspired by the war game becomes a war game inspired by the video game. I have pre-ordered everything for it. So first of all, the miniatures look great. I saw it being played at Gamma. It seems to play in a fairly straightforward, like I'm okay. It's an RTS, right? And an RTS is just a war game, but with a computer. So like, as far as like mechanical adaptations go, it's kind of almost impossible to screw up. And
how do you record your APM? Is that like
unimportant
on your?
And that's just it. It's like it's taking a game that people like with its own history and balancing. And what I'm curious to see right now is how the roles and uniqueness of the units from the games gets accurately copied over to the miniatures game. Like, can Protoss just build like Tempests that just stay off screen? You never see them. They just bombard things. Like what?
Zerg just, you have to buy so many Zergs.
That's just it. What I would think would happen with Zerg is maybe like specifically Zerglings have some sort of like respawn mechanism where you just get like an infinite number of them. Every time a squad's wiped out, you get another one, like something like that. But yeah, I'm very
represent
curious.
them with pennies.
I'm very curious to see how that like holy trinity sort of plays out, because unlike other games, they don't have to balance a myriad of factions. It's literally just 3 of them. So
Right.
on the one hand, like, I don't know what their long-term plan is, because like what we know of as StarCraft is pretty much done. Like, even StarCraft 2 is at like very much the end of its life cycle. It's
Oh, I'm surprised it's lasted this long.
Oh yeah.
It is.
But yeah,
It's
there's
lasted,
only
like,
so
for
many
a
units they
decade.
can make. There's only so many things they can do. Like, I don't know what the plan is long term. But I'm curious to see how they do it, and I'm excited to play it, and there's a lot of hype for it right now.
Are you familiar with Naomi Novik's Temeraire books?
Nope.
Okay, it is Napoleonic Regency war
Okay.
with dragon dogfighting.
Nice. Okay.
So it's just what if Napoleon plus dragons, and I am really looking forward to seeing how they handle that dual focus of like being proper and polite in good Parisian society versus I got on my dragon and now I'm going to shoot at a guy with a flintlock.
Yeah. I love the idea of it. I've there's been dragon mounted combat games in the past that I thought were just an awesome idea, and I love seeing them implemented. And I think we'd be remiss if we did not mention the Cyberpunk 2027 or 2077 TCG, which
Right.
has had a massive Kickstarter behind it, basically 100% on the strength of the IP itself. I don't know if the gameplay is going to be anything decent. I have no idea how you translate that world into a TCG. But
So here's what I'm thinking. I think the first release is going to suck.
yeah,
Right, like you're going to have the first booster packs release. They're going to be absolutely terrible. They'll fix it later in post. They'll do DLCs, and it'll get good.
year 2 will be perfect.
Hey, thanks for making it all the way through this episode of No Plot Only Lore. If you're looking for more, you can always find us at noplotonlylore.com and on all the very best podcast platforms. If you like what you heard today, please share, rate, and review the show to feed my never-ending need for attention and validation.